Good morning. Welcome to the CSLDallas Science of Mind class. I'm Dr. Petra Weldis, and we are here. Well, we're going to be celebrating Easter shortly, so happy Easter if that's something that you celebrate wherever you are in the world and whatever tradition you follow. It's a lovely opportunity for us to look at ancient symbols and the maps that have been left for us around spiritual growth and spiritual awakening and who and what we really are. And that's what we're doing as we're wandering through this Science of Mind book. Okay, we're not so much wandering as what are we doing? Crawling through it? Step by step, inch by inch. We're inching our way through it. That's what we're doing. We're inching our way through it. So if you're following along, we're on page 146. We're at the bottom of the page, the last paragraph in the small section called The Power Within. And we're talking about this entire chapter is about the power of thought. And remember that we always define thought as a movement in consciousness, and especially the power of a conscious movement in consciousness, right? So sometimes it's a deliberate thought, sometimes it's a sense, sometimes it's an awareness, sometimes it's an image, sometimes it's just a push or a pull. All of these are movements in consciousness that are happening all the time. And when we are consciously engaged and we are the author of those movements in consciousness, then we are harnessing the power of thought, as the early New Thought writers called it. So we're in this section, and this is a fabulous paragraph. It's all fabulous, but anyway, not always, but this is a fabulous paragraph. Okay, so we're talking about, right, the living from our causal consciousness, living from our spiritual beliefs and our understanding of the nature of reality and actually applying it, right? This is the application part. Just so far as we depend on any condition, past, present, or future, we are creating chaos because we are then dealing with conditions, effects, and not with causes. This could be one of the most important statements around our spiritual work when we are doing deliberate, intentional manifestation or when we are co-creating our lives in an intentional manner. Right? There's a whole aspect of our spirituality, which is courting the presence, feeling alignment, being in the flow, knowing that we belong and we're part of the universe, right? In the Science of Mind, we call that presence, love, right? That's the one aspect. And the other aspect is principle and law. And in that aspect of it, when we are being deliberately engaged with a movement in consciousness, whether we are focusing on conditions or causes, makes all the difference, changes everything, right? And so we use the term effect after condition, right? So these that in early metaphysics and early New Thought, these are the kinds of words that people used. Again, today we may not actually use them so comfortably or easily, but you might hear the words, the human condition, right? The human condition, the reality of a human person on planet Earth and their experiences. So the word condition broadens that to mean the physical condition, which is, from our understanding, always an effect. It's always the result of a cause, right? And the cause, the macrocosmic cause, is the intention of life to express, the intention of the infinite to become everything, right? And we call that love. And that push into expression is the cause. And all of creation is the effect. And then effects become causes. So it rains, and the river swells, and it floods, right? The rain was the cause of the effect of flooding. And the river swelling and flooding and giving good nutrients to the ground, to the fields, as has been, as it's been doing for millennium. So the law of cause and effect actually acts both on the physical level, but because we know the physical level is a reflection of the spiritual or the infinite, intangible level, we recognize that this is the fundamental, basic universal law, universal principle, from cause to effect, right? And when an effect is a cause, Thomas Troward reminds us that it is secondary cause, which means that we have a cause that's actually created by a condition, by something that's happening in the tangible physical world, right? The most obvious, this is the sort of kindergarten example. The kindergarten example of this is, it's Easter Sunday here in Dallas. We want to have an egg hunt. We want to have an outdoor egg hunt, and it's raining. That the rain is a condition. It's a condition of the physical reality, and the egg hunt is impacted by it. So the rain is the cause of the egg hunt being moved indoors. Right? And it's just what is. There's nothing about it. The rain, because it's raining, the egg hunt is indoors. Then we have the idea that it shouldn't be that way. Right? Shouldn't be that way. Shouldn't have rained. Oh, don't want to be inside. What are the kids going to do? This is awful. And we decide to call off the egg hunt altogether. Right? So the cause of the egg hunt being called off, which we haven't, by the way, at CSLDallas, we know better. The egg hunt being called off is actually the cause of the egg hunt being called off is us believing that the condition is causing our unhappiness, or is causing the egg hunt to be, we're calling off the egg hunt because it's raining. No. We're calling off the egg hunt because we're mad that it's raining. We're calling off the egg hunt because we don't think we can have a decent egg hunt because it's raining. Do you see? We've made the condition of rain causal in our life. This is what it means. So just so far as we depend upon any condition, past, present, or future, we are creating chaos because we are then dealing with conditions and not with causes. We could have the cause, we're going to have the best egg hunt ever no matter what. The kids are going to have a great time. We're going to figure out how to have a fabulous egg hunt. And they're all going to walk away going, oh my God, that was cool. We had a cool egg hunt, despite the fact that it was raining. Now, do you see that is a bit of a perspective shift, which is one way that we get out of, or we move ourselves into a spiritual reality not having conditions be causes. So that's great. Perspective is one. The other is to actually do what Thomas Troward calls raise ourselves above the law of averages, which means we literally rearrange the molecules of the universe and we are not subject to the condition. What does that mean? Nobody's getting a job. Unemployment is really bad. Oh my God, I'm never going to get a job. Well, I've made the condition of unemployment, or my age, or my skill set, or I've made those conditions causes in my life. And then I am upset, but shouldn't be surprised that I'm not getting hired, or that I'm having the experience that everybody else is having, because I have made condition a cause. But if I know that the cause of my life is the infinite power and presence seeking to reveal itself through me, which always requires it to be active, which is forever attracting my good to me, then I am not subject to the condition of the number that is being given for unemployment rate, or my age, or whether there are jobs available in my skill set. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? I have removed myself from conditional thinking into causal thinking. This is a fundamental aspect of the skill of spiritual living. The skill of spiritual living, which is to focus the power of our thought on cause as opposed to condition, as opposed to the effects, right? This is in every case where we do our spiritual work at the causal level. And we're doing one of two things. We're either moving into cause, so we're taking it up differently, or we are moving it into cause and we are literally shifting everything to align with the power of our thought, with the power of our intentional movement and consciousness, right? And so I'm going to teach a Troward class. June and July, I'm teaching a Troward class called Consciousness and the Creative Power. Thomas Troward is the master at explaining this. And we will work diligently on this in that class. It's just amazing work.
When is it again?
In late June and all of July. Okay. Could we comprehend but comprehend the fact that there is a power that makes things directly out of itself by simply becoming the thing it makes? Could we but grasp this greatest truth about life and realize that we are dealing with a principle scientifically correct and eternally present, we could accomplish whatever it is possible for us to conceive. Life externalizes at the level of our thought. So this is the part of the process that's our work. So how we apply this, right, is reminding ourselves, well, there's so many things that whatever this is that I want to manifest, or I want to heal, or I want to change, or I want to grow a business in in the middle of craziness. And I can look at the craziness and go, oh, it's going to be hard. This is really, I don't know. There's all these unknowns. Or we can step into causal reality, right? And keep ourselves focused on the spiritual truths, the use of the law, recognizing that as we're doing our work in consciousness, the law must manifest it, right? Over and over again. This idea that the power makes things directly out of itself by simply becoming the thing that it makes is really an important understanding of what we mean by oneness. So science of mind is what's called radical monism. We are not monotheistic. We're not a monotheistic tradition because we have no theos. We have no deity. There's no spirit. When we say spirit, it's not a deity. It is a consciousness that is actually everything. And it is intangible and simultaneously tangible. The intangible must be expressed in the tangible. All of creation, 13.8 billion years or whatever the number is, from the Big Bang and whatever preceded it, and the infinite number of galaxies and the multiverses outside of this universe, and the infinite number of stars in every galaxy, and just infinity on top of infinity on top of infinity, all of that is required for the expression of an infinite life and an infinite consciousness. Do you see? And so this infinite desire to express is the nature of reality. It's always, from the macrocosmic point of view, from cause to condition, cause to effect, from the intangible which we might call the spiritual or the divine, to the tangible, physical expression, matter, and everything that becomes matter. But what is the underlying truth or the underlying fabric? We call it consciousness. Science is beginning to maybe call it the quantum field, something, but it's still a little tangible, the quantum field. So do you see, the cause is always first. And what we do with the power of our thought is we find a new cause. This is why it's called new thought. It's not so much a new thought per se. It's like shorthand. It's like a new thought, which is actually a new belief, which really is setting a new cause in motion. And when we do that, as I said, sometimes we're changing our perspective. We're finding a new place to stand to allow something to unfold. Other times, we are co-creating. We are co-creating by making things directly out of the intangible reality of which we are a part. Right? Because our nature reenacts the nature of the infinite. So we too have that ability to co-create. Anywhere where self-awareness, where consciousness has revealed itself in self-awareness, begins to have the ability to see this is how it works. And if we can see this is how it works, then we can engage in this is how it works. So this idea of when we're faced with a challenge, or we are looking to grow something, a business or a life or a family or whatever it is, we have a tendency to want to manipulate conditions. Well, I got to do this, and then I got to do that, and then I got to figure that out, and now we got to have our plan, and we got to do all that, and oh my gosh, now it's not working, so now I've got to figure, right? Well, we do have to move our feet, but our spiritual work is to stand back and say, what's the cause? Do I expect good to happen? Do I understand that I live in an abundant universe and I'm attracting good to my business? Am I focused on that, or am I focused on the negativity of the economy or the politics or the people or the whatever it is that I think is standing in my way? Do you see? That's conditional thinking. What we want to move ourselves into, what this paragraph is suggesting, is that the seminal thing about the power of our thought is its causality. That we are literally operating at the causal level when we are consciously focusing on being causal as opposed to trying to figure out and manipulate conditions. And of course, it's very different than what we're taught. Set your goals, make your plan, what's your first step, look at the obstacles. You know, if you've ever done a SWOT or at your company or a SOAR, or all the different ways, what's working, what's not working. Now we have to do all these things, right? We don't throw it all out, but we start a step prior to that. We start at the causal level, right? And then we move our feet through all of that. But we know that we're at cause as opposed to simply rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, right? Which is sometimes what it feels like. All right, so we're going to stop there. What questions do you have about this? How have you struggled with this in your life? Or how have you discovered how to move yourself into cause? So we're going to say good morning to Ryan and Richard. We're going to say good morning to everybody who's out there and see what's going on.
Hello, everybody out there. Oh, I see you too. You guys don't raise your hands in the back? All right, it's all good. Richard got you on camera, so he's showing the world how you guys are not hand raisers. But if you do raise your hand, you will receive a microphone.
That's right.
Like my friend Ross over here, and you can ask your questions or comments. And if you're in Zoom land, we'd love to hear from you too. And that can be done by hitting the raise your hand icon located down below underneath the more or reactions tab. And if you're all around the world on Facebook Live, we'd love to know where you're watching us from. I see we got Spain in the house.
Yay!
What's up, Spain? Oh, we got a few more than that, too. I know.
But you haven't called Spain out before.
Yeah, I don't want to go through the list. There's too many people, and we love you all. So thank you for being in community with us. And make sure to leave your questions and comments inside of the chat, and we can bring those into the room as well. And I always like to remind folks that I keep those anonymous. That way you can tell me how handsome my voice sounds. Anyways, Ross, I think you've got the microphone. Are you wanting to say something?
Straightforward, simple. This is the most useful concept I've ever heard of. Bottom line.
Bottom line, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe its usefulness? How would you? What is it about it that feels so?
Well, one thing, it makes me powerful.
Yes.
It makes all of us powerful.
Yes.
We're not hemmed in by circumstances anymore.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
And whatever I can conceive, as long as it follows the rules of reality, I can bring it into existence as we all can bring it into existence.
Yes. Yes. And when we do it for ourselves individually, right, we create individual lives. And when we do it collectively, we change the world.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Beautiful. All right. Other comments? Anybody else in the room that?
Don't hand me the microphone. She's trying
He's
to
already
get
got
me
a
the
microphone.
I'm good. I guess I have a comment. It's back in the room.
All right. We got one in the back.
So, what advice would you give for somebody who is trying to work and be at cause during periods of depression and feeling helpless? And what are some ways that you can lie in bed and still have hope for having some control over the outcome?
It's a great question. You don't need hope. You always have control of the outcome, whether you're happy or depressed, whether you're sick or well, whether you're disabled in some way, or whether you are fully abled. This truth is true. This reality is real, no matter what. It's not conditioned upon your mental state. Right? So the advice I would give is feel your feelings, recognize that you're feeling depressed, and then remind yourself, I am a causal being. I am a place where the infinite cause is showing up. So rather than focusing on my depression, I'll focus on a few things that I'm grateful for. I will focus on the good that I do have in my life. I will focus on the fact that there's a power for good in the universe and I can use it. I don't have to even decide whether or not I'm using it. I don't have to have any opinion about whether or not I'm doing it right. I just remind myself over and over and over again of the spiritual truths, right? Because they're true no matter how you feel. Feelings are not spiritual truths. Experiences are not spiritual truths. Depression, anxiety, all these things, whatever they are, they're not actually spiritual truths. And so what we do is, for me personally, I hold onto those spiritual truths like a lifeline. I grab a hold of them and I sit there and I tell myself over and over again that this is the truth. And then of course I get caught on the condition of something in my family or something at CSLDallas or something at the world, and I spin out for a while, and then I'm like, wait, do I really want to be thinking about this? Is this the way I want to be engaged with this? No. What's the truth? And if I can't find a truth about that particular thing, I simply start reminding myself that truth is true regardless of how I feel, regardless of what I'm experiencing, and regardless of the conditions. Right? And there's so many things that's happening when you're doing that. You're rewriting the synaptic pathways in your brain. You're giving your psyche something to hold on to. You're giving that part of you that feels powerless. You're reminding that part of you that feels powerless that is the human self and it's not the spiritual truth. And no matter how powerless you feel, that actually isn't spiritually true. Right? No matter what the experience is, the spiritual truth is still present. No matter how unpeaceful I feel, peace is still present. That is still the spiritual truth of my being. And if I can find my way to remembering that peace is my spiritual truth, is the spiritual truth of my being, regardless of how I'm feeling, I start breathing into that and remembering, oh, right, peace, I can't get outside of peace. Peace is right here where I am. I'm going to breathe into that instead of into my anxiety. Do you see? This is the spiritual work. And this is the advice that I would give. Our brains lie to us, right? We know that. We think somebody's looking at us funny because somehow they've acted or behaved just like our mother or a previous partner, and all of a sudden we're off and running, and it has nothing to do with that person, right? Our feelings lie to us just as much. Because they're not based in spiritual reality. They're also based in our human experience, our human past, our whatever it is. So it's not that you don't feel the feelings, but if we feel the feelings and say, I am depressed and I can't do anything about it, I have now made my depression causal. Do you see? And that's the thing we want to avoid. Like, I don't like for people to tell me their diagnoses, because that's a condition. I don't care what the diagnosis is. That's a condition. And what I'm focusing on is always the spiritual truth. Whether the spiritual truth is being experienced or not, the spiritual truth is still true, right? And it's still present right here all the time. Okay, I saw that was a hand out there, and then we're going to come back here.
All right. This question asks, my thought is cause and creative, but so is everyone else.
Oh, yes.
Aren't some of the effects of the experiences the result of everybody else's thoughts?
Well, it's a lovely excuse, but in Science of Mind, we take radical responsibility, so I don't actually care what they're thinking, right? And if I make their thinking a condition in my life, I'm stuck. So, yeah. I mean, it's easy to go there, right? Their thinking is no less of a condition than the economy or the politics or my parents or my childhood trauma. It's all real, but we insist on going there because we don't want to take radical responsibility. Of course, we are affected by everything that's going around us. Yes, of course. Are we going to make that causal in our lives? Is it easy? No. Does it always work out perfectly? Not necessarily, especially in our families, because we're not about changing them, right? So that gets to be us, right? So it's always a question: where am I standing? What is my cause? And culturally, right? Racism, okay, sexism, all the anti-LGBT, anti-transgender stuff that's going on right now. Am I going to hold that as the condition that is going to be causal in my life? Of course it's affecting us, no question about it. So where are we going to stand? What cause are we going to stand in? Every person is an individualized expression of the divine. Every person is precious to me. I am precious to me. Every person is a part of the whole. That's where I'm standing. That's the cause that I'm bringing into consciousness, along with whatever other people are doing, which I don't really care about. Do you see? It's not that we don't see it. I love what Ernest Holmes says. This is my favorite thing. He says we look a fact in the face. Depression, illness, racism, anyway, we won't go there. And so we look a fact in the face. We are not denying that the experience is real. What we deny is that it is spiritually caused. Racism is not caused by the divine. Racism is caused by people being afraid of somebody else, trying to get power, history, unconscious bias, old programming. I mean, all of that, all of that, all the way historically back into our Judeo-Christian heritage. So, but are we going to say that we are bound by that condition? No. We are going to set new causes in motion over and over and over and over again. And it must then change, must change in our own lives. And ultimately, we are contributing to the shift of collective consciousness. So I have a comment here and then here. So it's a great question. Thank you.
My name is Carmen. So I've been experiencing a lot of things in the last few weeks. And for this experience, I decided to ask myself, what do I need? What, I guess, to work on me, things that I need. One thing was of self-value, self-respect, things like that. And so I got the answer. And Wednesday, Petra, you asked, I felt special Wednesday evening because at meditation, what I was told to do, you actually gave examples of how to sit with yourself. And that was one of the things that it was something told for me to do. And then I was standing over here, and the other thing that came to my mind was to letting outside validation affect how my emotions feeling. And you're talking about it this morning. I'm like, I have not talked to Petra or anything, even Wednesday, and she's just, teaching me, and adding on to the answer that I already received. Mm-hmm. It actually demonstrating how to apply it and what it looks like.
Right.
Like Ross said, like easy to understand how to apply it. Mm-hmm. So one thing also too is we're talking about outside validations mm-hmm. and things, conditions. So I was saying affirmations. Like you teach here, the repetitive, always saying affirmations, but I got the way I'm saying it is from more of the I don't have it.
Yes.
So I wasn't actually feeling it because I'm feeling and thinking I don't have it. So I'm asking, I want, I am, but it's like I am worthy, but I'm saying it with the energy of unworthiness. Yes. Like I don't have it. So I had to change my feeling intentionally that I do have it. Right. And so when I start saying it over and over again, I had got this emotion that I am worthy.
Yes. And can I stop you just there? Uh-huh. Right. That's the broadening of the idea of the power of thought, because you added an emotional component to it, mm-hmm. right? That really made it real for you. Mm-hmm. And that's why we say it's a movement in consciousness. It's not just, I am going to think I'm worthy. Mm-hmm. No, I'm going to do the work to feel worthy. Mm-hmm. I'm going to accept worthy. I'm going to say those words and I'm going to feel it and I'm going to, right? That's that whole thing. So thank you. That was a great example.
And so, and then everything that I've been learning here at CSLDallas about saying affirmations, but realizing the energy that I'm voicing it out. So I recognize that. And then how meditation is so important, because when I've had that feeling, it made me realize how meditation, how much energy I'm getting out. It made me realize, I seen the energy that I was putting out and how it's important to sit with yourself, which you talked about Wednesday night meditation. And so the importance of meditation, how we bring that all back in.
You bring it all
and
back in.
And so I'm getting all these revelations and everything going on.
I love that.
And so I was standing over here and like I said, talking about outside validation, because I had this feeling, but things around me, I allowed it shift my feelings.
Yes.
And that's when it said that, you need to pay attention to outside validation, and you're talking about it this morning.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I'm trying to focus on to pay attention to now is
Beautiful.
What you're talking about this morning is how to, how outside validation can, shift our feelings and stuff. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. So I feel special again this morning.
I love that.
Is that, but another thing is too is that the importance of asking yourself. I'm so blown. You forget, about it, but you forget about just asking yourself the questions and how you start attracting it and how you start getting the answers and attracting people in situations like I'm sitting in right now, Wednesday night. In Wednesday night. So I just want to say, like, I just really feel special because I feel heard.
Yay.
I feel heard because So
Beautiful.
I just want to say that this morning.
I love that. Thank you, Carmen. It's awesome, right? Well, and outside validation is a fabulous example of conditional living. I feel good about myself because other people are validating me now. Right? But we are individualized expressions of love and light. We are the place where the divine is making itself manifest. We are the place where consciousness is showing up to co-create and to play in this fabulous thing called the human experience. What more validation could we possibly need? because we're wanting it reflected back from the outside, or we're waiting to feel it until it's reflected back. Do you see? But when we know what we are, not in some arrogant way, because of course the same thing is true as for everybody. It's not like, oh, we're the only ones that are that. Everybody is that. But when I'm standing in that place, when we're standing in that place, we're causal in our own lives. Now we attract validation, and we don't need it, but it's a beautiful mirror that we have come to know what we are, right? And we're not seeking that, and it's validation, it's acquisition of goodies, it's making sure that we have all this right stuff, it's, retail therapy, all the things that we do, right, to give us that outer sense. Rather, we want our lives to be a reflection of the inner sense that we have about who and what we are. Beautiful. Okay, and I think, go ahead, and then Ross had
When I started saying my affirmations, I declared it.
Yes,
You talked about declaring it,
Yes.
and I started saying it
Yes.
in that way. And so
Beautiful.
I'll say that.
Thank you. And the other piece of it, sometimes we can start with an affirmation, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm abundant. Don't do all of them at once. One at a time. Pick one thing to work on. One of the ways that we diminish our affirmations is we have a whole series of different things we're affirming all in a paragraph. Your brain's like, yeah, whatever. that sounds like a list of New Year's resolutions. And if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. And then the law goes, oh, well, you don't believe it, right? So that's obviously not true. You obviously aren't those things. So pick one thing and then work on it. And if you have struggled with I am X, whatever it is, I'm healthy, or I'm at peace, or I'm happy, right? Sometimes it's hard to unhook from the condition we're actually experiencing. So we're not yet at the spiritual truth, right? So where I started with that to unhook that is spirit as me is peace. Spirit as me is whole. Well, I'm telling the spiritual truth about the infinite reality. And then what's my brain going to say? No, it's not. Of course it's not going to say that, because that is an absolute truth. Spirit as me, indwelling presence, the essential reality of who I am, spirit as me is whatever it is I'm affirming, right? And that was the hump that helped me get over being able to declare it. Boom, I am this. I had to realize that when I say I am this, I'm making a causal statement which is maybe not yet reflected in our conditions. But if we wait for the condition, that's like waiting for outside validation to feel good about ourselves. Exactly. Right? So this is why we talk about causal work. You have to believe it before you see it. We are going to wait till we see it or experience. I had somebody say the other day, we were having a conversation, a couple months ago, and the person said, well, I'll be kind when they're kind. That's how we live life, right? It's a transactional. When it's out there, then I'll be, know, experience, feel, whatever. When it's out there, right? But it goes the other direction. That's why we're hammering on this causality. All right, Ryan, do you have anything out there? Otherwise, we're going to come back to Ross. Oh, and let's go back to Utopia back in the back as well.
Yes, let's go here to Ross.
And then we'll send the microphone back.
Go ahead, Ross.
You know, it's interesting. Preparing to say something out loud in front of a group automatically changes me on the inside.
How so?
Well, here's really what I'm facing. People start telling me their condition, and halfway through the first sentence, I don't want to be a jerk, but I cut them off. And I don't want to be a jerk to them. That's their reality, but I cannot tolerate it.
Well, this is, go ahead.
And so what I'm really looking for is, where's the solution to this? Because I'm not going to allow them to do that.
So then you should probably stop talking to people. I mean, seriously, Ross. So this is where.
You're laughing at me.
Don't worry, Peter. I already cut his mic
We all
off.
have to go through this, okay? Because again, two things. One, you're making them talking to you causal in your reality.
I get that.
Okay, so two, they're not. So you have a couple of options. One, you can, which is what I did for a long time. Somebody would be telling me their story, and I would be saying to myself, in my own mind, with love, I know this is not the spiritual truth of you. I know this is not the spiritual truth of you, right? Because I don't want to get caught in it. And quite frankly, the details I usually let go in one ear and out the other, because I don't want to see that. I don't want that my file to start have that written about you, right? Because what I'm always seeing is the spiritual truth. And so I can do that in my consciousness. I had to do that for a while because what I lacked at the beginning of all of this was compassion for the human experience. And so that's the love part, right? The law part, you're really good at the law part. The love part is compassion, because you know what? We've all had a story. We've all lived stories. We've all been there. We've all needed people to hear us. And so when I can hear someone without buying into it, falling into the hole with them, but recognize that's their experience, let them have some amount of being able to talk about it, and be compassionate. I have probably said those exact same words somewhere along in my life. I've probably had a similar feeling or a similar experience. I can compassionately, not judgmentally, not arrogantly, but I can compassionately go, oh, I recognize that. I know just where you are. Not like I know where you are, like I'm dismissing you, but compassionately, like, oh, yes, I know where I can. And now find a way to begin bringing spiritual truth into it. And so
That's tricky.
It is. It's a grown-up spirituality now, right? Because the minute we start engaging with others, it matures us. So my shorthand, and don't listen to this because this is not about not self-love. This is not about, but my shorthand for this is I apply the law to me and compassion to others. Because I'm not their consciousness police. I'm not their thought police. This does not mean I don't apply compassion to myself, right? Because we do have to have compassion to ourselves. But in that moment of that kind of thing, right, I'm applying the law to me, not to you, because you have your own life experience. And who am I to say? I mean, sometimes I don't even know what's going on with me. Well, how can I say I know what's going on with you? That helps me be compassionate. And you can at some point say, okay, so what do we do from here? You can usually, there's also a place, somebody wants to tell me their story, they get to do it 3 times. And the 3rd time, that experience has now become locked into a story. So there's a softness about how you can then bring it to a close, or close the conversation, or say, how do we go? Where do we go from here? That's
As generous as you, they get 1/3 of their story. And I'm going to
choices, right? We all get to make choices about how we're going to show up in the world. Okay, we're going to have a comment back here, so let's pass the microphone back. And Ross, with these, we're all confronted with these things. Every single one of us is confronted with exactly the experience that you're sharing. And we all find our way to work with it. Please.
Yes, and I agree, Petra. Before I ask the questions, I want to kind of piggyback on what you said. I was traveling. My brother just joined the Air Force, and I had to help him get a shirt made to just say, "Big brother, proud of you." And I walked into the mall, the gentleman behind the desk, to get the shirt made, and he had one of the meanest frowns. And I'm like, man, why didn't he even come here? But he was my only choice. They was about to close. Whole time, look mad, look pissed. And in my mind, I was thinking, like, I'm giving him my money. Why should I even come here? So before I left, I said, do you ever smile? And he just laughed, and he had the brightest smile ever. And I realized I made his day. And he said, man, I just haven't slept in 3 days, haven't got no customers. My whole point, I totally agree. I believe that it takes one person at a time to impact one person at a time, to impact one person at a time.
Yes.
I want to ask you a question, because you mentioned it earlier. How can someone change the condition of their upbringing, even if they consciously know it? For example, you mentioned stuff like racism and sexism. How can they, if they probably even consciously want to, but they still find themselves judging others on an ongoing basis, consciously and unconsciously?
Take classes. Come to CSL Dallas. Be like Carmen. Come on Wednesdays. Come on Sundays. Take a class, right? Because it's practice. How you practice is how you change it is you practice not judging. Every time you find yourself judging, you go, oh, wow, I'm judging. Wow, that's an interesting thing. I wonder how many people are judging me. Is it really the spiritual truth, the way that I know this? Maybe maybe there's something going on with that person who's frowning. Maybe whatever. Maybe it has nothing to do with me. 99% of the time, it actually has nothing to do with us, right? And so it's practice. And this is the thing, when people, it's often we think, well, there's going to be one thing I'm going to do. It's going to be and it's going to be a magic pill, and it's going to fix it all. No. It's a lifetime of practice. That's why we're in community together, you guys. It's the sole reason why we're in community together. Because you can learn this on your own. You can work with it on your own. But the ongoing reminder of the practice we find in community. And we find it by, having the conversation, asking the question, listening to other people talk, going, oh, wait, I've just made all of that. I've made my past a condition. It's not a condition. The spiritual truth of me is I'm not judgmental. Spirit doesn't judge. Spirit is not judgmental. That's not the spiritual truth of me, right? Over and over and over again. We unravel, and we're literally doing neuroscience, right? We're rewiring our brains. But it takes consistent practice and support and somebody to say, you forgot, it's okay, I forget too, right? And let's get back on the horse together. All right, so we're getting ready for our for our fabulous Easter celebration. So it starts at 10:30. If you're coming, don't be late. It starts at 10:30. And if you walk in 5 or 10 minutes late, you're not going to know what's going on. And you're not going to know why you're walking into complete darkness. So be on time and be here for it, okay? We do have an Easter egg hunt. It's going to be inside. We're going to have fabulous things. We've got some wonderful speakers coming up. And this week and next are your last weeks to sign up as a host for Fun with Friends. We want to build lots of community and be lots of community, lots of places. If you're all over the world, you can do your event online. So that's all the things I have to say.
And I just got to mention, too, because we just started piloting this online after class. So all you guys, I know you guys are a little heated up about the conversation today, and we got an outlet for you. I posted, Bobby actually is hosting this, so she posted the link here in the Zoom for you guys to join. So please hop on over to that after I shut this down.
Yeah, and have a conversation and join us live streamed. And we'll see you in the celebration, or we'll see you next week. Happy Easter and have a great week.